an insurgency that legitimizes violence and is all about destroying the United States of America. Have you heard of MIRAC? It's the Minnesota Immigrant Right Actions Committee, better known as MIRAC. It's easy for people to remember and to say. This kind of leads to the whole Minnesota protests and riots, so to speak, maybe the stopping of ICE officers, blocking cars, all of the organic protests that were taking place in Minnesota were not so organic. MIRAC was there leading people, helping them, teaching them how to cause trouble, how to stop ICE, how to stop immigration enforcement. And MIRAC, Minnesota's Immigrant Rights Action Committee, has a vivid history of extremism. And that's where I get off with how I open the show. They oppose all borders. So they oppose ICE. They are interested in destroying America. They don't feel that we have a right to exist. They belong to pro-terror coalitions and indirectly sponsor violence and criminality, again, in indirect methods. Their goal is not at all to work within civil society and to strengthen America. It's all about destroying America. It wants to overthrow the system, empower the adversaries, the socialists, the progressives, and bring out rhetorical and political strategies and help the supporters of Hamas. This is a legitimate, or illegitimate, I should say, insurgency that's in America, and it's trying to destroy America. MIRAC appears in the Minnesota response resources, and some of their signal chats that went out and about and that were circulated talked about that you could go to MIRAC to receive training on how to stop ICE officers. Community members would learn from the rapid response and intervention, which you may have seen on the news, of how to get over. They're going to teach you how to form up as a group and how to stop ICE officers from doing their jobs, which caused problems, which caused people getting in front of cars, blocking ICE officers, which in turn led to some arrests and led to some shootings. If none of this had been done, then all that garbage wouldn't have happened. But you've got organizations like MIRAC and others that were, for lack of a better word, sponsoring all of this to get people to protest. That's a problem. If you go to MIRAC's website, you can see where it doesn't want any immigration. It wants to end the immigration enforcement. It does want immigration. It wants to end immigration. And it wants to overthrow the U.S. government and assist the foreign adversaries in defeating the West and creating a borderless world. It says, we want to see the U.S. immigration system and criminal justice system as fundamentally unjust, racist, and a white supremacist. That's what they see it as. They recognize the roots of forced mass migration in the economic systems, the economic policies, and in imperialist wars. There's several things here to read, but it's very, it doesn't give me good feelings when I start reading about these kind of people. These people don't want America. It's very concerning. It's very disheartening. And these people, I'm going back to it, were in Minnesota. They're in Minnesota. And they were assisting with stopping ICE. MIRAC stands for people's rights to migrate, as well as people's rights not to be forced to migrate. We're in solidarity with popular movements in other countries and oppose U.S. intervention in any other country. It's MIRAC struggles for legislation and full equity for an end to immigration, detention, and deportations, and to end border militarization. They believe no human being is illegal at all that goes into another country. So you can come and go in any country you want. As far as I know, though, they're basically here in the U.S. and protesting the U.S. They're not protesting in other countries, to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, they're not. Last but not least, this is what they believe. MIRAC carries out activist campaigns to protest and change unjust immigration laws and policies. We organize communities and support individuals and families impacted by those laws and policies. They're not good people, in my opinion. Which incidentally, what I'm reading from is, you see me doing a lot of reading because I've read this report several times, and just there's so much information. It's hard for me to, I struggle with getting it out the way it's written in the report. You can access the report. The report was done by the Mauro, M-A-U-R-O Institute in conjunction with Glenn Beck. They discovered this and did all this work and put this paper out. And this is what I've been reading. I came across this when I was looking into some of the Minnesota issues and the protests and the ICE officers. And I came across this report, and I was dumbfounded, to be honest with you, by what I was reading. MIRAC is all about the Intifada. They're all about Palestine. I was like, what? They're what? Yeah, Intifada, just so you know, in case you don't know, it is an Arabic word meaning the uprising or the shaking. It's typically associated with Palestine and rising up against Israel. So these guys are doing it, and they're here in America. Okay, I'm struggling. They're in Minnesota assisting and fighting ICE. They try to hide sometimes some of their doings and their goings-ons and try not to seem so radical. And as I was reading, I found out about this this Turtle Island Intifada. And I was like, Turtle Island Intifada? What the heck is a Turtle Island? There's an island in the Hawaiian Islands, Maui, that looks kind of like a turtle. And I was like, is that what they're talking about? No. They're talking about North America. It was referred to as Turtle Island by the indigenous people way back. They used to call North America the Turtle Island. So it's a little sneaky way for them to get away with some of their discussions and some of their garbage that they're espousing around, out there for people, and not look so bad. Turtle Island, if you don't know, I didn't know about it, so maybe you didn't. It basically, the Intifada, Turtle Island Intifada, is about uprising against the United States of America. Okay, so that's kind of hidden from you. There's a social media post that was done in March of 2025 by these guys, and it said, from Turtle Island to Palestine, occupation is a crime. Free Palestine, do we remember all of that? Now that these guys are saying that we're the equivalent and we shouldn't be here. Again, going back to, they don't think we should exist. Occupation of Turtle Island, North America, and then it also encompasses Central America. So it's all North America. It doesn't go on to South America. It needs to be liberated, is what they say, just as Palestine needs to be liberated. Talking about Turtle Island, there's another group not affiliated with MIRAC in any way that I can find. I tried, I researched and everything, and I don't see where they have any kind of affiliation except that they both use this Turtle Island. So they're not affiliated with each other. But the Turtle Island Liberation Front is this other group. And again, not inferring that they're part of MIRAC. They're their own group. And their members, several of their members were arrested a while back, and prosecutors are alleging that this group was planning attacks on Southern California, bombing attacks. Now, that just tells me that people that are calling us Turtle Island, that are affiliated with organizations about Turtle Island, are against us. I'm not saying they all want to bomb us. I'm not even saying that this is true. It's an allegation by prosecutors, okay? But it sure doesn't give you a good feeling inside. Not such a good feeling inside whatsoever. MIRAC's first public response, let's go back to several years ago, October 7th, 2023, if you'll remember the attack on Israel. People murdered, adults, children, women raped, people taken hostage. It took years to get them out. President Trump was the one that was successful as getting all of the hostages home, finally. Many of those hostages died while they were being held by these terrorists. And people were all over America saying, "Free Palestine, free Palestine." And a lot of people died. Well, there was a public response that was given by MIRAC regarding this. It was their first public response. And it talked about its solidarity with Palestine and Palestine's right to exist and not be and to return to where it was and not be occupied by other people. At the same time, it didn't say a word about the loss of life, the attack, the prisoners that were taken, hostages by the Islamists and the Marxist terrorists. So again, MIRAC doesn't sound like a good group, and they were there in Minnesota protesting and helping others to protest against ICE. Very clear that it was not an organic situation whatsoever. Maybe little pockets were, but it sure doesn't sound like it was an organic thing. And then in April of 24, they published a collaborative paper praising the Iranian regime and said from Palestine to Mexico, border walls have to go. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. So again, they're all about Palestine. They sound like Marxists and terrorists to me. They don't sound good. They've published many, many things. They did a statement about Free Palestine Coalition and the hypocritically named Minnesota Peace Action Collection got together, and they were actually involved with some other authors. It wasn't just them. There was other people involved that they're radical groups that the Party for Socialism and Liberation was involved with this. It wants to end capitalism altogether. It's a communist political party in the U.S. that operates in the Leninist tradition. I assume y'all know who Vladimir Lenin was. A communist, Marxist person that believed in dictatorship. And these people that helped write what I'm about to read were involved with writing this and are involved with MIRAC. No war with Iran. Resisting genocide is not a crime. Israel bombed an Iranian embassy in Damascus, Syria. In response to this crime committed by Israel, the Islamic Republic of Iran launched a retaliatory strike, which it is well within its right to do under international law. Iran has long been a target of U.S. aggression due to the long-standing solidarity it has shown with Palestinian resistance. You know we have a lot of garbage going on with Iran right now. You know that we're close to doing some additional bombing of Iran. 47 years, Iran has been basically at war with the U.S. Not everyday fighting, boots on the ground, but we've been at war with them. They have killed hundreds and over 1,000, some people will say thousands, of Americans. They bombed us, military facilities. Iran is not a good country. They need to be gone. They want nuclear weapons. They want all these missiles, and they want to be able to attack bases that are within reach. And they say, death to America. MIRAC. this Minnesota organization is affiliated with them. Both of those organizations, the Party for Socialism and Liberation and the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, they were involved in this writing of this paper along with MIRAC, or this statement along with MIRAC. They were designated as pro-terrorism in a comprehensive study of the anti-Israel movement, which was authored by the Morrow Institute and the Capital Research Center. This stuff is sickening to me. I'm having a difficult time talking to you all about this. It's sickening. MIRAC was also part of the coalition to march on the DNC back in August of 2024. So this will demonstrate to you that MIRAC's maybe not totally leftist, and they don't go after the left as well, because here they were going after the DNC, the Democratic National Convention. They were marching there. They were part of that march. And it was exposed in an investigative report by Glenn Beck for having at least 162 extremist groups in the alliance marching on the DNC. 162 extremist groups in the United States of America marching on the DNC. That's 3/4 of the entire membership. They've expressed support for, or they have ties to 19 foreign terrorist organizations. MIRAC's affiliated coalition website, outwardly supported the October 7th attack on Israel. And they depicted Russia and China as victims of imperialism. I don't know what you're thinking. I hope you're still there. It's sickening to believe that there's people in this country that think like this, that have support for terrorists. 9/11. Do you remember 9/11? Those were terrorists. Do you remember the 20+ year wars that we were fighting? Terrorists. And we have American citizens who are supporting these terrorists. There's another huge expression of the support for violence that MIRAC put out in March of 2025. They put out this flyer, and it included the words, "Bash the Fash." And alongside, there was a drawing of someone winding up to kick a bloodied, severed head. That's definitely something we see the terrorists do, cut heads off. Bash the Fash is a slogan that's often used in Antifa-associated ecosystem, and it's a call for violence against perceived fascists, including civilians, including citizens of the United States of America, in my opinion. MIRAC is closely tied to the previously mentioned National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. Its Instagram page carries statements that have been featured in collections of photos showing MIRAC's involvement in one of the group's conferences. The alliance threatens violence on the website, where it pledges to politically and physically, if necessary, defend the democratic rights of all Palestinians and their supporters, and fighting against Zionism. And the U.S. law enforcement or anybody else they have to fight against. It says on the website that the alliance officially supports the United Palestinian Resistance and its self-defense campaign. I don't know. They're against ICE. We've established that. That's why they were in Minnesota. They're totally for immigration anywhere you want to go. Just go. Cross the border and go. There's no illegal people anywhere. There's no illegal aliens. There's no border walls. There's nothing. It's all one. And everybody goes wherever they want. If you don't like that, then we're going to fight against you. And they don't have a problem with violence. As I said, they're against ICE. January 15th, here's a post. It was reacting to the shooting of a protester in Minnesota. MIRAC argued that the violence committed by ICE, I need to read this. MIRAC argued that the violence committed by anti-ICE demonstrators is not violence, but it's resistance. So anything they do is resistance, and resistance is okay with them. Because you're resisting capitalism. You're resisting law enforcement. You're resisting the U.S. That's where they think. Again, proof that Minnesota was not organic. In November, MIRAC celebrated how it was able to mobilize hundreds of people in just a matter of no time at all, because they heard that ICE was coming in, and they were able to mobilize and get all these people there to stop ICE. So people wondered, how in the world are these people getting there so quickly? How do they know what's going on? MIRAC and other organizations that were involved. Again, not an organic thing at all. MIRAC also connects its supporters to others who can assist in violent and criminal activity. The website has a list of resources, including the Minnesota Uprising Arrestee Support, which refers to the rioters, of 2020 as the rebels of the uprising. Here's a very troubling statement. One of the ways the Turtle Island Intifada members legitimize violence against law enforcement and other adversaries is equating them with Israeli targets, whom they long justified attacking. On January 14th, in a post that appeared on MIRAC's Instagram page, it equates ICE. Listen to this. It equates ICE with the Israeli Defense Forces. I want you to think about that. What does that mean? MIRAC equates ICE with the Israeli Defense Forces. That's a very deadly implication considering MIRAC's coalition partners and what they wish for the Israeli military. They want the Israeli military wiped out. They want them dead. So does that mean they want ICE all dead? They want to kill them all? Is that what that means? I'm just reading it in black and white. It's very troubling to me. They say it's impossible to stop either entity, ICE or the Israeli military, except by protesting both. From Turtle Island to Palestine, none of us are free until we are all free. Again, supporting Palestine, saying America shouldn't exist, it needs to be gone. Here's another troubling, and I'm sorry that I'm focusing so much, but this report is just, it shows so much, and it's hard to leave out something. There's pieces that I've had to brush over so I don't keep going on for hours and hours. There's a slide in one of their posts, and it said, and beneath the text calling for the liberation of Turtle Island and Palestine, there's a photo of two protesters, one carrying a sign urging a world without walls, standing in front of a graffiti glorifying violence against Israeli. Let me try this again. Standing in front of graffiti glorifying violence against Israeli security sprayed on Israeli controversial security wall. Liberation of Turtle Island and Palestine is a photo of two protesters, one with the sign urging a world without walls, standing in front of a graffiti glorifying violence against Israeli security sprayed on Israel's controversial security wall. I just don't know. MIRAC, M-I-R-A-C, is not good. They protested in Minnesota. They I'd be willing to say it's their fault that some people were shot by ICE officers. They helped instigate it. They supported them. They pushed it. I've said it before, if you don't protest and fight against police officers, nothing's going to happen. If you don't go out there, you're not going to get shot. But if you're trying to run over ICE officers, if you're trying to prevent people from being arrested, it could lead to some harm to yourself. It could lead to you being arrested. I don't understand why you're fighting our officers who are trying to get criminals out of this country that are here illegally. MIRAC is supporting you. A bunch of dang communists. I don't want communism. Go ask some people that came here from Cuba. They don't want communism. Go ask some people that came here, some Jewish people. There's still people alive that suffered through Hitler's garbage and murders, of the killing of people. We don't want that. To kind of conclude, and it's in the paper here, MIRAC is not merely opposing ICE, okay? It's very clear in what I've told you about what I've read in this report and other things that I read online about it. It is advancing an extremist world view that rejects borders, excuses terror, and normalizes political violence under the language of liberation. That's what they do. I'm against them. I stand up and I say I'm against them. We have got to fight organizations like this and stop them from trying to take this country down. when organizations like this openly celebrate militancy and align with foreign adversaries and train supporters to obstruct law enforcement, the issue is no longer protest. It's subversion. It's an insurgency. It's wrong. I want to discuss a headline, so to speak. I guess it is a headline. I've seen it. The State of the Union address, Donald Trump. A number of Democrats are saying that they're going to walk out, or they're not even going to show up at all. I don't agree with this at all. Now, before you jump me, I know Republicans have done the same thing. Both parties are wrong. Neither party or the independents, whoever you are, Republican, Democrat, or an independent, should ever not attend the State of the Union or should get up and walk out of the State of the Union. I'm totally against any of you doing it, and you're wrong in my eyes. And I'm confident that there's other Americans that feel the same way I feel. Now, why? Here's a real simple, common sense reason. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the President of the United States. It doesn't matter if you don't like him, if you disagree with him, if you're mad at him, that's fine. You don't disrespect the office of the presidency. This is the State of the Union. It is an event that's supposed to reflect the unity of this nation. Even if we disagree about stuff, this nation is supposed to be unified. You getting up and walking out or not attending because you're mad at the president or you disagree with the president is wrong. I'm sorry, it's wrong. As a congressperson, as a senator, as anybody else that's involved with the cabinet that's there, that's been invited to be there or is expected to be there, you should be there. You don't get up and walk out, and you don't decide not to show up. It's wrong. I disagree with you. It's very partisan, performative. It's wrong. Everyone should be there for the sanctity of this country and the unity of this country. God bless America. Last but not least, today, I want to talk about how I'm still not sorry that I believe in voter identification. I've said it more than once. I'll probably say it again because it seems to be a hot issue in Congress. The citizens of the United States of America want voter identification. I saw today it's 84% want it. 84% of America is not right-leaning. People on both sides want it. Guess what? We're unified in wanting identification. voter ID with a photo to vote. Now, why do I bring this up again, besides the fact that I'm not sorry that I feel this way? Because of the heavy-duty storms and blizzards that hit New York City. You might have heard about this, but if you didn't, I'm going to just share it with you real quick before I go. That communist, socialist mayor of New York City, Mondami, has asked for emergency snow shovelers. Come and get a job. We'll pay you $30 an hour. And if you work 40 hours a week, it'll bump up to $45 an hour they'll pay you. Wow, some people got a chance to make some money. Maybe get ahead a little bit. Pay a couple of bills. When you show up for this job, you need 2 small photos, 1.5 inches square, of your face. My. 2 photos, 1.5 inches of your face. 2 original forms of identification. And your Social Security card. But we don't want photo identification for when you vote. Let's get some common sense here, people. He's a dang communist. He's going to wipe New York out, but he wants people to have identification, to get a job, to shovel snow. Amazing. Thanks for being here. Have a great day. Until next time.